In a world that feels so chaotic, where do we actually find real shelter? Well, there's an ancient prayer, one that was written not in a time of peace, but right in the middle of a 40-year crisis, and it offers us a blueprint. Today, we're diving deep into that blueprint, Psalm 90. But first, let me ask you this. Just think about it for a second. When that anxiety starts to creep in, when the news is just overwhelming, when your own life feels unstable, where do you run for cover? What's your first instinct? It's a huge question, and it's one we all have to face. So picture this. Thousands of years ago, a leader is guiding an entire nation through 40 years of absolute chaos in the wilderness. And right there, in the middle of that storm, he forges this prayer. It's a spiritual tool for survival, created not in some peaceful monastery, but in the heart of the struggle. And that prayer is exactly what we're going to unpack today. You're going to see that this is so much more than just an ancient poem. It's a practical, powerful blueprint for building a life on something truly unshakable, even when our modern world feels like it's falling apart. First up, let's just talk about how incredibly relevant this prayer is. I mean, it might feel like it was written a lifetime ago, but the world it was born into, well, it has some pretty startling similarities to our own. I mean, just look at this. It's really striking how their ancient challenges mirror our modern anxieties. Their constant resource scarcity, it feels a lot like our economic instability. The constant danger they were in, yeah, that can feel like the social unrest we see today. Their reality of mass death and being literally homeless. It really echoes our deepest fears and our own search for meaning. The context is different, for sure, but that core feeling of being lost in a wilderness, that's totally universal. And here's what gives this prayer so much weight, right? It's the only one in the entire book of Psalms that's attributed to Moses. We're not talking about some distant theologian in an ivory tower. We're talking about the leader who was right there in the trenches for 40 years, experiencing all the suffering he writes about. You can feel that authenticity. The words are raw, they're real, and they are earned. So the psalm lays out this clear pathway for us. And it all begins with a pretty radical first step, figuring out where our true home really is. What's amazing is that he doesn't start with the problem. He starts with the solution. Before he even mentions the chaos, the wandering, or the pain, he makes this foundational declaration. This one sentence is the anchor for absolutely everything that follows. And the original Hebrew here is just fascinating. The word Moses uses for dwelling place is ma'an. And listen, this doesn't just mean a house. It means a refuge, a shelter from danger, a secure fortress. It's the place you run to when the storm hits. It's the ultimate safe place. Now, can you just imagine hearing this as a homeless refugee, wandering in a desert? Moses is telling an entire nation that has lost everything, that their true security was never in a physical place. Not back in Egypt, and not even in the promised land they were hoping for. No, their true permanent home has always been God himself. Wow. I mean, that is a game-changing perspective. Okay, so once we're grounded in that eternal home, the prayer does something pretty unexpected. It takes a sharp turn and forces us to take a brutally honest look at our temporary reality. This is step 2, getting wise about our own limits. The psalmist just hits you with this rapid-fire imagery to paint a really stark picture. First, it says our lives are swept away, like a sudden flood. Then it says they are as fleeting and hard to grasp as a dream you can barely remember when you wake up. And finally, we're like grass that's green and vibrant in the morning, but by evening, it's cut down and withered. I mean, it is intense, powerful stuff. And then it just lays it all out there. It says that even a long life, 70 or 80 years, is mostly filled with labor and sorrow. Now, this isn't meant to be depressing, not at all. It's meant to be clarifying. Being honest about how fragile we are is the first necessary step toward finding true wisdom. And that honesty brings us to the Psalm's crucial turning point. Because after laying out the problem so clearly, there's a massive pivot to the solution. The lament, the sorrow, it doesn't get the last word. A prayer for purpose does. Right here, this is the verse that changes everything. So teach us to number our days. The idea is that because life is short, because it's so fragile, we need God's perspective to live it well. This isn't some morbid countdown to the end. It's a powerful plea to make every single day count. So what does it actually look like to have a heart of wisdom? Well, it's super practical. It means you start reevaluating your priorities, what you really spend your time worrying about. It means cultivating gratitude every single day because you realize tomorrow is never guaranteed. It shifts your focus away from just temporary success and onto your eternal legacy. Ultimately, it's about choosing to live your life with intention, not just by accident. And all of this leads us to the final destination of the prayer. See, once we've found our home in God and we've asked for wisdom, then we are empowered to pray boldly for a life that doesn't just survive, but truly flourishes. The psalmist prays, "Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love." And that Hebrew word for steadfast love is sed. This isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's talking about God's unbreakable, loyal covenant love. And the prayer presents this, God's chesed, as the only thing that can bring real, lasting satisfaction in a world full of sorrow. And then Moses prays for the favor of the Lord to be on them. But check this out. The original Hebrew word, noam, is so rich and deep that different Bibles translate it in different ways. Some say favor, others say beauty, others say kindness. The core idea here is a prayer for God's own beautiful, glorious, kind character to rest on us and to define our lives. How amazing is that? And this all builds to the breathtaking climax of the entire psalm, a plea that he makes twice just for emphasis. Establish the work of our hands. In a life that can feel as fleeting as withering grass, this is the ultimate prayer for meaning. It's asking God to give our daily efforts, our jobs, our parenting, our creativity, our service, to give it all a lasting, eternal significance. So when you put it all together, here it is. You get this incredibly clear 4-step pathway. First, you recenter. You find your true home and security in God alone. Second, you lament. You face the brokenness of the world and your own limits with honesty. Third, you petition. You ask God for wisdom and purpose. And finally, you flourish. You pray boldly for a life of deep joy and lasting impact. So that leaves us with a question, a really personal one. What is the work of your hands today? Your job, your family, your passion projects, your relationships? What is it that you can ask God to establish? If this ancient prayer became your prayer today, what would that look like for you? I would absolutely love to read your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if this breakdown was helpful for you, please subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks so much for joining me.